to help contribute to the prize pool. It is $1,000 already. And of course, whatever you can contribute on Match Arena will definitely help out. There are free ways to do it as well. So make sure you check out our Match Arena page to help out our players throughout all of that. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and head into our map picks and bans for the final time today. Maybe today, or maybe for this match, we'll see a flag for it, but probably just jinxing myself. And our first bans will be coming in for this match.
Well, I get a feeling we're going to see a flak fort at least on one of these pictures, but it may be one of them that's grayed out. But not yet. Harbor City, we're seeing picked a lot. That's banned. Colony's Trading Post apparently picked a lot off stream, and it is banned as well. Quarry is going to be our first map of the day. That's one that we're pretty used to seeing, but Flag Fort's not out of the picture yet.
And we have Underground Command Center. I believe that'll be the first time for broadcast at the very least, picked up by Last Second. Thermal Plant, the next band coming out from IQ, leaving our hopes alive now for Black Fort.
Hey, you know what would be even funnier is if it ended up being the decider, which is totally a chance. But let's see. No, the final ban of the day. Mountain R&D Lab will be our decider. It's a pretty common decider overall, but no Flag Fort on broadcast at all today. The most banned map for sure. I love seeing it, but I guess we just got to move on and look at what other maps we get to see.
Yeah, so 2 destruction maps in a row and then possibly going over to domination. If we go to map number 3 in this set, we have to remember this is our final lower bracket match to hit our top 4 for our games tomorrow. Will it be IQ? Will it be Last Second? We got to see some of Last Second, like you said earlier on today. We don't know quite the state of IQ. We've had a lot of roster changes as well, so that's going to be a lot to explore.
You almost never know who's exactly playing for which team, but just as far as who's signed up, I will say that IQ is looking like a very strong version of IQ. I don't know if all of these players are playing, but we've got some really top level players that we've seen before, like Fusion Blackie, one of the best turn A's that we've seen. We see Chaotic Bake and Ceres, Tizim, Red Protocol, Be Their Shield, Invictus. So this is an absolutely top tier level of play team, but I don't know which of those is actually going to be playing today, as there's a few more names on there, and I don't know who they're going to be playing, so it should be exciting to see. I'm glad that we at least get to see them one time on broadcast.
Yeah, and now we're going to go ahead and set up the match for our final game of the day, so don't go anywhere, guys. We'll have IQ versus Last Second right after this. Welcome back to Best of the West, presented by the Gundam Evolution New Type League. It's our final match of the day, last second versus IQ here in the lower bracket. To see will be the final squad joining our other 3 squads that have secured their spot for our games tomorrow. We're going to start off here on Quarry, and it's IQ on the defense.
Ooh, and I'm excited to see what the picks are. Usually defense picks are pretty locked in, so that does mean that Exponent is going to be on that Hyperion, which is a cool thing to see. We are going to see... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was looking at the totally wrong side. That is offensive side. Defense, yeah, is going to be IQ. I was just looking at the totally wrong thing. But Chaotic, of course, we know is one of the best Barbadoses that we have. So I'm very excited to see, of course, what they can do on this map. A very Barbados-heavy map. We tend to see even teams that don't usually run Barbados switch to it around here.
And surprisingly enough, Gasman is hovering on that Zaku 2 range, so they won't have that same kind of presence to try and hold that high ground that you can see that Chaotic through the X-Ray is currently playing right now. They are going to go ahead and clear out the corners here on the left side, but again, Chaotic backs away as he notes that a lot of members are coming in, but there we go, tries to go for the combo, has to back away. He gets the shield as well from the Dom, but he will not be able to find anything off of it. Now he needs to back away to heal up. That's going to allow last second to have this high ground pressure for themselves.
Ooh, Zusi kind of flying over, going to lob a big flame grenade. That's going to be their key to go in. That's their cue. They're going to be pushing behind the box. Chaotic, though, going to get a 3-man slam, potentially. That is going to be huge. That damage led to a lot. They were able to get a lot of picks off of that. Gasman, though, still running around pretty healthy in here. Blue Jay as well, and Wiki, but that is going to be 3 versus 5, and slowly they are going to go down to a 2 versus 5, and then maybe the end of that push. It was a great slam, but they managed to... I mean, honestly, the green slam was on the other side. It was a great push, but the slam stopped them. That's what I should be saying.
Yeah, again, really noting why it's so important to have that Barbados up there, just for that counter engage, be able to come in and drop down onto the squad, having that natural flank for themselves, leaving themselves vulnerable in the back is going to be last second as they end up losing out on 2. That's going to be 3 and 4 going down. Red Protocol just holding the corner now. He'll be able to get his teammate back up. Invictus is repaired. Wiki getting staggered there. Now last second are sent back once again. 3 minutes remaining. They still have to secure this waypoint.
I'm surprised we're not seeing Gasman on the Barbados. We've seen the Gasman versus Chaotic Barbados mirror on this map many, many times, and it tends to be very close, and whoever of them is winning tends to give their team an advantage, but it can go either way. And so I'm surprised that we are seeing the Zaku 2 ranged. We'll see if it really pays off. Right now, I mean, hey, it's a great counter to Barbados if you can outmaneuver him.
Chaotic still trying to reestablish himself back up top. That does mean that space is created. They're able to pick up 2 off the back of that one. Now, it's just Fusion Blacket that did end up going down on that Gundam Unicorn, but again, the follow-up isn't there. They're not able to finish him, destroy him, and so the res comes through. 2 minutes and 17 seconds now remaining here for last second, and they do have some G maneuvers for this next fight. They'll have that Hyperion along with that Hades. It looks like it's instantly popped. Never mind the new Gundam. We'll go ahead and pop that, but the Screaming Nimbus is utilized there to push back Wiki. And that is a great counter coming out from IQ.
Oh my gosh, the defensive lineman there just saying, hey, hold on a minute, get out of here. I'm gonna push you all the way back. You're not gonna be able to use your shield. I'm gonna get you completely out of position, and it worked really well. However, there are now a lot of picks on the side of IQ. Last second is going to get an opportunity to take this waypoint, but they've only got 1 minute and 30 seconds left to decide where they want to push to. Red Protocol also still sitting on point, not gonna get very much mileage. That's gonna be a little bit of a stagger. They need to move now.
Yeah, 2.5 minutes basically spent there just to get that waypoints, and that's allowing IQ to regroup as a 5-man at the very least for this. They've got the tools to do it. They have the G maneuver advantage. They've got B their shield with his. Ooh, Chaotic going down. It's a 1-for-1 exchange. He's not able to pop his G maneuver before that. Gasman, though, continuing to play on the flanks, but he loses out on that 1v1 up against Red Protocol. And that's going to be a huge opportunity now for the defense to try and push out, maybe take back that waypoint.
There are a lot of G maneuvers available on the side of IQ. They can hold off for pretty much as long as they want to. They just got to make sure that nobody plants. There's only 40 seconds left. They just got to get people off of the actual sites. I would have liked to maybe see the waypoint retaken, but it looked like they just wanted to just sit tight, play safe. It makes a lot of sense with the resources that they have. Fusion Blackie is going to be activating that G maneuver and getting some good hits, but I don't know if it's going to be enough.
Yeah, Amano ends up finding one with that sniper pickup, but again, the numbers advantage is here for IQ. The G maneuver advantage is here for them as well, and there's really nothing left in the tank. They might be able to come in with the Screaming Nimbus last second, but there's only 10 seconds remaining here. Chaotic is just trying to go back. He backcaps the waypoint as well, and things are looking even worse for last second here with 1 second remaining. That's going to be the full hold coming out from IQ.
Very, very nice. I realized I said that last comment very weird. I don't know why I'm getting a little mixed up in this game. I meant to say that Fusion Blackie got picked off. I didn't know if that was enough, because that was, like you said, a very, very strong hold. They had still even good amount of resources available at the end of it, so they just managed to, just play to their strengths. I'm surprised that, well, okay, I'm not surprised that they went to losers bracket so early because it was Mafty, but just the way that they're playing, it almost feels like they shouldn't have been in losers bracket so early, but I guess that's just the nature of these tournaments.
Yeah, and one thing to note really for last second is that they've had a lot of swaps, right? They're trying to kind of redefine what their identity is here in competitive Gundam Evolution, and it's difficult not seeing Gasman on that Barbados when we know the kind of highlight plays that he's been able to put out, like you had mentioned as well, that kind of rivalry between the two, between him and Chaotic. We've seen that duel between the Barbados time and again, but we got to see what happens when one team has a stellar Barbados able to control so much space for their squad, particularly on this map, that feels very one-sided when you don't have an answer for it.
It does. The ability to leap is just so strong, considering the fact that there are these perfectly leap-sized walls all over this first point. I'm surprised that we're not seeing it, but I mean, I do like, well, actually, we might be seeing it right now as Gasman is on the Barbados, so we'll see if that ends up working a little bit better on defense. But there is not a lot of progress that needs to be made on the side of IQ on the offense. They just got to get in there and make a little bit happen. Let's see how this first push goes.
We do have the swap off. Chaotic is going to go over toward that Ashtamar for his squad to apply a little bit more pressure with that. Now they charge forward. There it is. The jump in, but it's a little bit too early, possibly. No, their cleanup comes out from last second, and they will go ahead and send them packing. It was a little bit iffy there, but Gasman did end up going for that counter dive onto them. And see, we get to see why it's so important to have that Barbados, and I'm surprised that on the other side, they're not trying to rocket themselves.
I know, this is weird. Like, nobody on offense is choosing to go for the Barbados. It's only on the defense, and we've seen it work well on both sides. I mean, it does have a little bit more free reign to jump to the right positions on defense here, but actually right there, Gasman getting punished for attempting that. They pushed in a lot more separated this time, so they wouldn't all get hit by one slam, and this is for sure going to be a waypoint take for IQ. They can get a plant down right here, and all they need is a few seconds to win this game.
Yeah, this is almost a minute 30 difference in their pushes at this point. Straight onto the B side to get that flank on down. The Victor's chasing after him. Has to be careful, but never mind. The Barbados will not get on top of him. Gasman not able to find anything here whatsoever. Chaotic did make that swap off onto that Barbados, by the way, and now things are looking dire. 10 seconds remaining here. The defense needs to get back, but they're not even going to be able to do it at full force.
Oh no, I don't know how you're possibly going to do this. Look at this Chaotic with even an extra amount of life defending this, and yep, just preemptively going for the slam on the bomb. Very, very smart to make 100% sure that nobody was even going to start that defuse, and that is going to be IQ strongly taking game number 1 of this set.
Yeah, another full hold that we get to see here on a Quarry. It's going to be Invictus actually walking away with the MVP of that map. Not surprised, Stormtrooper does tend to fare well when we have a lot of clumping going on in these matches.
It certainly doesn't. You basically always get clumping on this map. There's no way to avoid it. Either you're sitting behind that, like by the box, basically on the, I don't know, the defensive side at that first waypoint, or you're sitting in the high ground, or you're sitting in a doorway, or just somewhere where always Dom missiles are going to do a lot of damage, or the flame grenades from the Ashamar. So it's always going to be a great. I mean, those suits are great everywhere, but especially on this map, Mountain R&D, stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's just our first map. We hopefully maybe see this go to 3, but right now things are definitely looking pretty favored on one side. I believe our second map will be Underground Command Center, so another destruction map. We're going to go ahead and take a short break as we get that one set up. When we get back, it'll be map number 2, our final game of the day, right after this.
Like it.
Welcome back to Best of the West, and here is the match breakdown from our first game in this set between Last Second IQ. It was IQ that took the win here on Quarry. And we get a better look at the damage breakdown. Invictus, Red Protocol, both of them above 20k for their squads.
Looking really close in numbers, very, very, very similar. But like we mentioned, the suits that can do a lot of damage on that map, they do a ton of damage. And of course, the Pale Rider is kind of just doing a lot of damage in general. We see a lot of damage there. We see a lot of damage from Amano as well, especially compared to like the rest of the team. Overall, second in damage on Last Second. Again, this is really looking to me like the Pale Riders are coming out to play. The suit is in a really good spot right now, but Dom, no matter what they do to Dom, it's always gonna be there. It's always gonna be good. And honestly, I mean, I like it. I think it's great.
Yeah, right now in this meta, I just feel like one of the units that just I have to feel like feels incredibly difficult to play is going to be Sazabi. We're seeing so much attention being put on by all of their teams. The focus fire onto the Sazabis has been incredible today. So right now you can see Their Shield was still able to dish out 13k with 21 kills himself. On the other side for Exponent, 6 kills with 11k damage. And so it's incredibly hard to stay alive right now in this current meta.
It is very high damage, and basically, like you said, every single Sazabi player that we've seen has just been melted. They get focused so heavily. We're seeing a good amount of unicorns, and that with like we saw some heavy arms, the buff damage from the Pale Riders. There's just a lot of bullets going into that shield and then going into that really large target of Sazabi. So we'll see if that ends up happening once again, as we're going to be moving on here to, for the first time today, Underground Command Center.
The mission is about to
And
begin.
this is one of those maps, just like over at Harbor City, where we could see some sniper play, but right now, no one is actually hovering over onto that Jim sniper. We do have the Pale Riders, though, coming out from Red Protocol and Zeusy as well. Gasman possibly to pick up the heavy arms for us.
Ooh, the return of the Gatman. I saw actually a match of Gasman's earlier, just like before the actual broadcast started. Gasman, of course, streams himself. Should be able to sure and go and follow him. But he was playing heavy arms, and they did really well. They dominated actually a match on Flak Fort, or then I can't remember which team they played against. I'm sure you can see it in the bracket. But Gasman's heavy arms was looking really strong. He knew a lot of the flip angles, exactly where he could go with it. His damage was really great. He was doing a lot of like flip into these really tight little angled, I guess like flame rockets. I actually need to learn the actual name of that move, but we are going to see it, and this is our second really full committal to the heavy arms of the day.
Yeah. The only long range that right now he does have to worry about is going to be Zeusy, of course, on that Pale Rider, but no high ground contest. It's going to be straight over for that waypoint. That's going to allow Amano a nice little angle here to try and get that molly down onto the squad. But that means Gasman is able to walk up for free. You can see Exponent there on the front line with the Sazabi, and the instant melt onto either side. Unfortunately, the focus wasn't quite there to take out the enemy. Their Shield. You can see he does back away with 1 HP to try and pick up a health kit for themselves, but there's only the one to play off of. Still, though, the defense is there, even with their health bars just kind of flashing red. Fight back into this. Blue Jay has to back up last second. We'll have to have another go at this waypoint.
That is the exact thing you see from every top team on this point. Their ability to flex around the back of the waypoint is so crucial, and that was played exactly perfectly by IQ. That's exactly how you see Matthew play it as well. Just all the top teams exactly like that. If you're playing out there in ranked, you should definitely try that. Of course, not that you can get your team definitely to do it, but it's a good strategy. And here's another attempt at a push.
Once again, the Sazabi is going down. That pressure onto the shield is so strong. Blue Jay has to be careful. He's dropped down to 1 HP, and Red Protocol is able to nade out 2 of them. He's getting cornered now as Amano tries to push up. He will fall for his effort. Red Protocol stays alive. Now the waypoint was taken, but it'll be instantly flipped once again. Last second are sent back to their spawn. They have to try and fight for this once more with 2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining.
The flexibility just once again being shown off. I mean, there's really nothing more you could say about it. They're perfectly like just rotating backwards. They're just giving up just enough space that they feel comfortable to actually get these kills. Gasman is going to go for the, I learned the move names, Moonsault into the shoulder missile pod right there, just to get a little bit of extra damage on everybody standing there. But Gasman is really far forward, maybe getting caught out. Is very low HP, has to back up as Exponent pushes in, but gets melted like we were just saying. And this is going to be, again, a lot of the members of Last Second getting melted down very quickly. They're getting a few picks of their own. Red Protocol is using that Hades, and that can be terrifying. And that is probably going to shut down that push for good. X-Men the only one left and pretty far away.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if Heavy Arms actually might have taken away the title of longest ability name with his dual-wielding double Gatling gun away from Mahiru. I don't even remember Mahiru's ability name, the torpedo something. I don't even know.
Yeah,
but here we go with a minute and 40 seconds remaining. Last second, still fighting over this waypoint. They even need to get flat down. Be their shield on the front line once again. Jumping into the back line though is Saris. Now as he picks up one, and you can see how quickly IQ are at cleaning up this fight. And that's going to be another team fight win coming out from IQ.
This has been just a perfect hold. They have only lost a few members, but they've been holding onto their resources. That's the most important thing. They are sitting with 4 G maneuvers for this final push, and it's going to be 4 very high impact G maneuvers as well if they're used well. I mean, they can be high impact on this particular site, I would say. However, Gasman does have the barrage ready. We could see the flip into the barrage, move on to the barrage, and just working out for a lot of kills. That's going to be 1 down, 1 follow-up with the Hades. Gasman is going to sit here and melt that Sazabi. That is the push that they needed. Immediately capturing that waypoint, and they are pushing towards that bomb site. They've only got 30 seconds. They know they have to go fast.
The scary part though, once they get it down, if they get it down, the retake coming out from IQ, they'll have 3 G maneuvers available. Funnel along with the Unicorn G maneuver and Saris as well. And so last second, they have to basically fight this one dry unless Blue Jay can get that Screaming Nimbus up in time. You see though, Fusion Blackie gets taken out, and that kind of Unicorn G maneuver goes to waste, unfortunately, not able to find anything there.
And so now we've still got the funnels, we've still got Saris with that G maneuver as well, but Blue Jay did have time to actually build that Screaming Nimbus, so that is gigantic. Still staying pretty healthy too. That can at least, at the very minimum, guarantee them a little bit more time, even if it does end up getting defused. And there we go, that's going to be the usage of it. Saris is also going to pop the new Gundam G maneuver to try and defend, but we can see that's not a good counter to the Screaming Nimbus. It's going to go down immediately, essentially a waste, and Blue Jay finally going down, but look at this, we're only 5 seconds away from the detonation.
And that was beautiful timing coming out from Blue Jay as well. Just as the Sazabi was dropping low, they tag him out, bring in Blue Jay with the Screaming Nimbus, give him that extra armor, make sure he stays alive. And so now we'll be going on to the second half of this map. 2 minutes added on to the time here for Last Second as they're finding staggers as they charge forward. We'll see if they want to just push up and try and get the plant down, or will they be able to just secure this waypoint? Looks like IQ will try and fight for it, but they don't quite have all their numbers here yet, but they are delaying long enough to get him here.
And having that extra health from the Unicorn buff that was just received is huge. They're actually able to hold off a huge portion of this team. They're going to have to run all the way back. There's not a lot of time either. Blue Jay's the only one still up. Might get picked off, might get staggered, and that is going to happen. That is a very unfortunate thing to happen in general. That was a really long stagger. Most of the team's already back, but they've got to wait for that respawn now.
With a minute, 30 seconds remaining, Last Second don't have much time to work with. Possibly 2 fights just to try and get this waypoint. They do have Wiki though. He does have his G maneuver available. And that's a nice one to have, especially in the face of a Hades. Don't know if it's going to be enough to block out all that damage, though, as the Hades hasn't been popped quite yet from Red Protocol. Nice pickup on the Chaotic there, coming out from Gasman as he continues to charge forward with that heavy arc. It is a 2-for-1 exchange as Wiki finds one more. Be their shield to fall. And now with only a few members remaining, that should be the waypoint for Last Second. But they need to instantly pivot to try and get that Mega Charge down.
Oh, there's less than a minute left. They have to make this count perfectly. They've got only punch left as well, and there are 3 G maneuvers stocked up, about to be 4. Yep, 4 now on the side of IQ, and the Victus is going to be the first one to use one. That Screaming Nimbus just hitting into the back line, doing so much damage. Victus is going to be following it up. X-Men going down. Oh, and that's going to be almost every single person. That is a full team wipe. Last Second completely down. They've got 30 seconds left. Amano trying to just make it back to the point, getting picked off. This offensive hold is working just all too well. I don't think there's going to be enough time for this one.
I I don't even think there's enough time just to be able to run back and actually touch the plant at all. And especially in the face now of the defense, they've got Chaotic with this G maneuver to finish things off strong as well. He hasn't popped it quite yet, but I don't know if he needs it. There we go. He's gonna go ahead and utilize that down as a mono falls. That's gonna be IQ holding it. Last second though, we're able to get that first point at the very least.
Getting that is huge, right? Getting that is absolutely huge. It looked like there was going to be nothing on the board at all for the longest time in that match. That hold on the waypoint even was so strong, but then they pushed through that waypoint at the last moment, last second, as usual, last second playing things last second, and then they planted, defended it perfectly. So just getting at least that is gigantic. Now, it is going to make the job a little bit harder for IQ, but I still have to say this is IQ's game, just to be able to be at this advantage for sure.
Yeah, taking a look at the stat line, Red Protocol was able to dish out so much damage, of course, on that Pale Rider with the space that was created by his team, and he did a great job of really being able to play around the chaotic nature of this. And like you had mentioned, when we're fighting over that first waypoint, it's all about bending, not breaking, coming back for the re-engage, and they were doing such an amazing job of it. And honestly, I would say a lot of that is off the back of the anchor of how strong that Red Protocol was able to hold his position as that Pale Rider.
I do have to say, though, as we were just looking at him, Gasman on the heavy arms did put in a lot of work, that really showing off how strong that G maneuver can be, because it's so fast you can't really react to it with the defensive G maneuver, and I think it'll do even stronger on defense. Also, I got to point out, Enders, thank you in chat, says it's Toroidal Shield with Internal Mega Particle Cannon is the name of the move from a hero.
I think they might be tied then with longest name at that point. It's so close. Oh, well, I'll count the letters later on, but here we go. It's going to be IQ now looking to punch in their ticket for tomorrow. They just need to finish off this map. They just need to get the plants on to the second half. You can see now all the members going over to the right-hand side. Evictus, though, on his own with that Dom, trying to find an opening, trying to find some open damage there for his team. All Death Squad is pushing up. Either Shield, though, is on his own, and he gets focused down. And you cannot have your Zabi going down early. Now the waypoint was taken, but it's instantly flipped once again last second, proving that, yeah, they have the same kind of defense here when it comes to Underground Command Center.
Oh, without a doubt, they have the ability to do the exact same thing. Like I mentioned before, flexing back behind the control point. Even if you like allow them to grab it for a split second, it doesn't mean that much. Like there's something, maybe sometimes they're going to get a spawn there and you're going to get a stagger if you win that team fight. So things could be a whole lot worse unless their whole team manages to respawn at that exact same moment. But here we go, push number 2. Evictus is going to be holding his high ground along with Chaotic. That's a lot of AoE damage that can be rained down upon the enemy team, and that's why they're splitting up so well.
Chaotic looking for that napalm. We'll see if he can actually connect it. Nope, never mind. That's Zusi taking him out of the sky. He is low, but he's got his repair kit to keep himself up. That protocol does end up getting the repair at the very least, but in that time, Evictus ends up falling. It's going to be both Dom Troopers going down here. Just take a look at the very aggressive push coming out from Chaotic, but maybe it's enough. Nope, never mind. Here is the reinforcement. Zusi charging forward to pick up 2, and that will be the waypoint flipping once again.
Oh my gosh, full team kill right there. Zusi was just in the perfect position to be able to shoot basically everybody from the side or back. That is great positioning for a Pale Rider player. I just knew exactly where everybody was going to be pushing from, but this is looking like a mirror of the last game. Everybody's getting so good at defending this first waypoint that this is, you would almost not even imagine that this was going so well for IQ in the previous round.
Gasman going in, flips in for the barrage, and he picks up 2. He's a little bit of help to back away, but he will be able to survive. That's going to be, what, 3-4 members of IQ going down. We'll see if we can get the stagger onto Ceres, but nope, they have to back away. They lost Blue Jay here. That could work against them. We'll see if they can get the repair onto him. It looks like he was left to the wayside. Wiki falling next, and this is the biggest opportunity now for IQ. Huge numbers advantage as they find one more onto a mono. They were able to get the repair at the very least onto Wiki, who does prove valuable at the very least. The waypoint has been picking up, but they still have to get the plant down.
All right, so let's see if this is going to be an actual mirror of the last game. No, it looks like already Chaotic is just going to fall super quickly. The damage on the side of Last Second is just ridiculous. They've got so many high damage dealers, and they are so good at focusing particular targets. They're going to make it difficult for anybody to come in, and Gasman's going to get another pick as well. There are a lot of G maneuvers up for IQ, though. I think Last Second needs to be very, very worried about that. Gasman playing a little bit far forward. That does have a lot of HP, the heavy arms right there with 1200, but with the damage that these teams deal, that still can be pretty scary.
Which one they decide to pop? It's going to be the Screaming Nimbus charging forward, and Zusi gets chased down. Red Protocol with the Hades as well. 3 members of IQ going down, and now they get to pick where they want to go ahead and set that Mega Charge. Thinking down on that 8th site. The Victus will be able to get out with the skin of his teeth. Now the Mega Charge going to be the retake for Last Second. They do have 2 tools for that at the very least. They've got the Punch along with the Hades here. Zusi just biding his time.
Honestly, with such a little amount of time left, this is really looking like the run back of the previous game. Now, if of course Last Second can get this retake right here, it will not at all, and we'll be going to game 3. But we might get a tie. Let's not count that out quite yet. Amano though going down, Evictus getting traded, so this is going to be 5v5 here.
Boy, we do have the Screaming Nimbus getting popped by Blue Jay to get his team back on to the point. The Mega Charge disarm does get disabled there, and they have to try a second time now as they get right on top of the point. Blue Jay needs the body block for his squad, charges forward, and it looks like the Mega Charge gets diffused. That will be the victory coming through.
Wow. Honestly, with how the first, 3 minutes of the first round of this map looked, I was like, well, that looks like that might be just IQ with a quick 2-0, but it's actually going to be instead our first game 3 of the day. And in fact, it looked like they got most of the MVP awards as well, but Last Second doing such a great job of turning things around there. And it was actually kind of bizarre how close those two, the attack and defense rounds were to each other. That looked so much like a mirror. The timings were the same. It all just came down to whether or not they got that last minute disarm, and one of them did and one of them didn't.
Yeah, Blue Jay coming in clutch, being able to build up that Screaming Nimbus just in time. You can see how much chaos it creates, especially in that post-plant situation. Yeah, that means we will be going to our decider map, our first decider map of the day, and it's Mountain R&D. I'm so excited for it, and I know you guys are too, but we do need to take a short break before we get into our final map of the day. You're not going to want to miss that, so don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back right after this.
And welcome back, everyone. We are now down to our final match of the day. We've got, of course, the recap from the previous game that is going to send us to our game 3. This was on Underground Command Center, where Last Second finally fought back and took us to our final game. And there are some numbers on here that are pretty ridiculous. 37K for Wiki, 40K for Red Protocol.
Yeah, and no surprises whatsoever there. I mean, it's been basically those 2 units along with our Dom troopers for the day, and it looks like they are topping basically the damage boards overall. We got to see both of our Hail Riders in that last match put up a really great effort. Now what I'm wondering, as we move on to the next map, which will be Mountain R&D to finish things off, there's going to be no ties there. And so it will be our final map of the day. Gasman has shown that he is still ready and rearing to go and play that Barbados, but he's also shown that, hey, he can play the heavy arms quite well. And so which one does he really want to pick up for that map?
Okay, I mean, well, we've seen for sure Million Barbados in the map, right? But we did get to see that one really good example of the heavy arms from Nostalgia on that map, and I'm starting to think just from that showing alone, obviously that we don't have a large sample size of matches on there, but it looks to me like that's a pretty good suit for that map, or at the very least, like, you know, not a bad suit for that map for by any means, right? It plays its ranges. The flip allows it to get to the high ground and the low ground and jump over pits and just everything that you want basically for that map as far as mobility. And it can control a lot of these choke points and just, just unload on anybody who's trying to shield them through those choke points. So I'm very excited to see if that is what we end up seeing. We've seen already that both of the heavy arms players that we've had today, Nostalgia and Gasman, have been really good with the barrage, which is looking now to me to be a really, really strong G maneuver, because it just happens so fast that you can take tools out of the team fight before they realize they're going to lose them.
Yeah, it's just so interesting to me. Like when it comes to Gasman, right? It's like the duality of man, right? You're playing a triple dash, a triple dash melee brawler unit versus a single dash mid-range DPS, right, with only one jump. And so it's so great to see that he is able to play 2 very unique styles in that regard and perform pretty well with it. So I'm really excited to see which one he ends up pulling out here for Mountain R&D. I think either one will work out extremely well regardless when he is piloting it, of course with the backup of the rest of his squad as well, who are starting to show that it's not just the one-man show there for that squad. It's not just the Gasman show. A lot of other players are showing up today.
Oh, I mean, it's such a strong squad just across the board. There have been some really impressive team play moments as well, where it's realistically just everybody just putting in a lot of work into one particular team fight. I got to say, too, Blue Jay has had some really, really clutch moments as far as, you know, even just in that last fight of that last map, being able to secure guaranteed that win. But overall, this is going to be a close one. I mean, it's our first game 3 of the day for a good reason, and this is such an even map. We've seen both of these teams do very well on this map before. IQ, slightly different roster, but I guess technically both slightly different roster, but I expect that this is going to be a great one. I love this map. It always goes down to the wire. Here we go, Mountain R&D for our last map of the day.
And when we were on Quarry, we were hoping to see that Barb 1v1, and we will get it here on Mountain R&D. Gasman has picked it up along with Chaotic there, but the first frag is going to be Exponent going down once again, talking about the pressure onto your Sazabis. It's going to be IQ end up winning out on that duel, and as point A unlocks, they are in position to take it instantly.
Be Their Shield now is not threatened nearly as much as the previous games, and we do know that Be Your Shield is really a specialist, right, for the Sazabi. I mean, just the name Be Your Shield, it would be kind of a crime if it was anybody else, except for maybe like Jim or Hyperion, any other shield users, but it has to be Sazabi, really, I feel. And now, you can challenge as Gasman in this way. We'll see if it works out. It looks like it does, but you need to get in there, right? This has to be a dive on the Sazabi every single time. It worked out here. That is going to be a retake overall for Last Second. We'll see if it can happen consistent.
19% for IQ for Last Second, though. Looking to play continually aggressive. Mono doesn't have that same kind of high ground presence quite yet with the rest of the squad. Fusion Black, he got spotted out here We'll see if they can maybe put a few more components up. Exponent should be following up behind them, but Amano has to be careful. He doesn't have the extra tanky bodies there to help him out. Saris finds that kill onto Gasman. That might be the retake, but now the point's actually going to go ahead and flip on over. We're going over to C. But that is both high grounds basically wrestled away from them. IQ now pushing forward to try and get some staggers. Here comes the charge, and Chaotic will be able to finish off Exponent with the help of Saris. Now as we flip on over to point C, B, their shield is on that front line, but Gasman is able to win out for the second time on that duel up against Chaotic, taking him out. Gasman does not escape though for his effort, so that's a 1-for-1 exchange, leaving it open now for last second to be able to hop onto the point. It is getting contested though, but overall it will go on over.
Yeah, this is, I mean, it was such a good positioning from IQ, but this is such a great counter push by the side of last second. They've got such a mobile team. It's a brawling team, and I like this as an option to not have to constantly have the high ground because they can be there almost at any time, but we are going to see the Hades activated. That is a pretty low red protocol, though, and getting taken out before almost anything can happen. Amano countering very well. Victus was downstairs with the Screaming Nimbus. I'm not sure exactly what was happening there, but they're just brawling all over the place.
Yeah, he used it from height and then dropped down and tried to force them off the point, but unfortunately with 2 G maneuvers utilized there, it's gonna go to waste for them, and that's a tough position to be put in because now, as we flip on over, it's going back on over to point A. There's a huge discrepancy in power. You've got the Heathawk Slash, the Screaming Nimbus, along with the Hades ready for last second to try and close it out here on point A.
Oh yeah, this lead is growing considerably from last second, and it is looking like a good spot, honestly, to be able to hold just that last little bit of percentage, just being already there on A, already having that potential high ground. But right now, actually, the high ground, I would lie, is totally on the side of IQ. They've got a few members below, though. Be Their Shields getting caught out above, not going down, but needs to be at least relatively scared. I mean, that's still pretty low HP.
Yeah, Victus is a little bit far forward there, and so he does pay for that effort. The point unlocked, and it's IQ that's going to go ahead and take that one. Chaotic finds 1 kill onto Exponent, but Saris falls now as the point gets contested. This is where it becomes a little bit difficult, when it becomes so brawl-centric. Teams can delay for so long. IQ, not only are they delaying, they are winning out on the fight. That's going to be the change, though. Zusi finds one more. Again, they have not been able to capture the point, and now they are still trying to struggle and get this point away from IQ.
Oh my gosh, but Amano just running amok. This is one of those situations like we saw before with the opposite side, Pell Rider Zusi, just being able to, or sorry, not Zusi, who was it? It was Red Protocol, I think. I don't know who it was. It was somebody. It might have been Zusi. But just the fact that you can use Hades, use that mobility to get kind of in a position where they can't really deal with your damage at the range that you want, and you can sit to the side of all of these shield units. It works so well, and that is going to give them so much. But B might be the final point.
With 1 minute 15 seconds remaining, 15 more seconds until it unlocks. IQ now need to try and push up. Luckily for them, there's only the punch, but unluckily for them, if they push through this choke, they will get punished by it. Be Their Shield does have the backup of the rest of the squad. Funnel calm down as he drops down, but he's getting pushed back as he tries to go for the drop down. Nice little play there coming out for them to keep him out of that fight, but it's only for how long. Red Protocol has a full health Sazabi in his face with Susi there as well on that Zaku 2 range. Now they're going to go ahead and push them back last second. So you can count this point. It's still getting contested by IQ.
Oh, IQ, though, finally losing too many people, and they're getting backed up all the way back to their spawn. I don't even know if there's anybody there to get the extra time. There is not. And last second now is up 1 round after being kind of on elimination point, honestly. They are looking pretty good here. I mean, it was a close one. It was definitely not a roll, but they were looking solid the entire time.
Yeah, we have to note, once again, I don't know how they were able to predict that push and predict that Sazabi drop down, but a huge CC to come in to make sure that he doesn't get in there with his funnels could have been the big difference maker. And now we're going into round number 2. It was great to see. I love that we were instantly had that question answered. What's it going to be for Gasman? Is it going to be that Barbados, or will it be the heavy arms? It was that Barb, and he had a huge thing to say about it in that map, in that first round.
I love to see, I mean, I love the duels. I love the duels. I would love to see somebody run a 1v1 Barb duel tournament. Come on, somebody make it happen. Hit me up. I want to watch that. But we are now, like I said, at a great position for last second. I think a lot of it is because Gasman is on that Barb. Just like you said, being able to shut down so many, especially of their defensive units. I mean, Be Their Shield, one of the best players that we have for Sazabi. And it was an issue that he constantly had to deal with Gasman.
Yeah, Gasman also has the backup of Zusi. Right, so you got double flankers basically in play for them. First knock, though, going down over to Wiki. They're not going to be able to recover him. We're starting off on point A. Fusion Blackie able to answer back and find that threat of Gasman. Take him out. Chaotic chasing now after Zusi here as the point is about to unlock. There it is. He does get chased down, and that's Evictus on the Dom to take him out as the point unlocks. Will be IQ taking it first.
Oh, we could possibly see a Game 3, Round 3, which has happened a lot on R&D for some reason. Whenever it's the decider, it tends to go to a Round 3, so I kind of do hope we get to see that. But, oh, that is a delicious flame grenade, my god.
That does split them up in 2. They end up finding that knock onto Fusion Black, and the second one, Gasman, though, ends up going down once again, but still, he did his job. He was able to pull them back. They still need to flip it on over in their favor, but Chaotic is still alive. He ends up taking out Exponent. There's another knock onto Wiki, and that's going to be IQ holding control over point A. We're going to be swapping over to point C, though. The fight is still taking place here. They're trying to delay for as long as possible. Chaotic tries to run away. Somehow still stays alive as Gasman is chasing him down.
Oh, Chaotic is so slippery. Oh, and then wins the counter duel. I mean, there was definitely a numbers advantage there in the end, but being able to run away until finally finding that moment, that was a great play from Chaotic. But Gasman, of course, just with that aggression, was able to, at the very minimum, distract a lot of people for a while. But this is a huge lead, a bigger lead than we had in pretty much all of that entire last game. Very nice, going for the Heathawk Slash, just immediately to try and win this 1v1 duel, and it does at the very minimum make the Barb have to back off.
It is. I'm so surprised because he wasn't stunned up behind him, but still, regardless, Heathawk Slash, you can use it basically in any fight. Doesn't matter. You build it up so quickly. You can see Zusi after using it, he's already at 30%, but for IQ, they went out on that fight basically, and they will go ahead and take the point. They were able to get almost full point, 46.4 instead of 46.5. But still, that's me being pedantic at this point. And now, with a 60% lead, IQ is trying to send this to round number 3.
They're looking great to do so. It's going to be, of course, back CA. That's just how it always goes here. But the fact that it's going to go to C to A means that this league could be a 100-0 if things keep going as they are. But this is going to be now a 3v3. This is a lot of damage here on the Sazabi, but wow, actually manages to survive. No, finally Exponent going down. Blue Jay getting the trade, the double trade here. And this is going to be a retake with only 3 seconds left, I think, for last second. Actually, they're not even going to get it as it goes to A.
Wow, so now IQ with a clear lead. They only need 10.2 percentage point. We are going back on over to point A. For IQ, though, they have a huge power advantage. Take a look, 4 G maneuvers online. Chaotic alone can just finish things off. But last second, have the early position here. They still have to contend with all this. Wiki, though, he's going to have to counter with that Screaming Nimbus. He's going to go ahead and instantly pop that, but he gets shut down by that Barbados G maneuver. And it's all IQ on the kill feed. Only Gasman alive to try and touch this point one last time and stay alive long enough for his team to get in. But no, he gets chased down. Invictus will finish him off. And that's going to be the clean 100-0 in just a moment for IQ, but they do have the staggers here, and it's still the cleanup crew of IQ making sure they secure this and send us to round number 3.
Oh my gosh, with the slowest cleanup of all time. Okay, hold on a minute, actually, that's 2 picks. hits now on the side of last second, but they're gonna all fall as well. They are getting some damage in. It doesn't seem like it's gonna quite be enough. That was a strong challenge for a nearly unwinnable situation, but 100-0, a statement going into the final round of today. The winner of this round is going to go to day number 2 into the top 4. The loser is going to go home with 5th place. But now both of these teams have won a game. Both of these teams have won a round here on Mountain R&D, and it's all going to come down to this final game and who can take control of it.
IQ, though, with a much more convincing round there in round number 2, 100-0. We don't get to see that quite often, unless, of course, it's an early upper bracket MAFD game or so. But between these two teams, that definitely not something I expected. As you can see, Gasman had a little bit more trouble finding his openings. It looks like IQ might have been able to single something out, spot out his playstyle, and maybe try and counter it. We got to see earlier on today when Barbados were running free that a lot more teams were just, you know, doing a better job of just keeping tabs of him. Even though there are so many angles to approach from, if you get spotted out, teams will continue to hold that angle and be able to spot you out and make sure that they don't have the same kind of openings. Now, here we go, our final round of the day. This is the decider round here on Mountain R&D.
And we're starting with point B, but what a strange way to go around here. I like it. A really heavy push from the side. A flank, essentially, be their shield leading the charge. They're immediately going to take down Blue Jay, but there's a trade on both sides here, and everybody is falling.
Man, this is just looking like an absolute scrap. As you can see, 2, 3, 4 different engagements taking place all across the map. Wiki ends up falling there to Saris, but they will be able to get the repair, and this point B unlocks. This time around, it's going to be last second to take it.
Last second already with a better score than they had in the previous round, so that's a great sign. Better than their 0. This is going to be a potential pick here, but Gasman actually going down. They are going to get 2 picks on either side. We're down to a 4v4. This is as close as it gets. None of these team fights are dominations. This is just all down to who's left of like 3 people.
IQ do flip it just in time at perfect time, 20%. That's what last second we're able to take. And now it's all IQ to hold it down. No G maneuvers online for either side, so it's going to come down to fight over at Hey, Zeusy is looking for an opening here and does have to be careful as he gets chased down. And that's what happens when it comes down to Zakutu range versus Dom. Honestly, I want to say 75% of the time, it's going to be the Dom that wins out at the 1v1.
I gotta say though, great mobility by Evictus right there to be able to catch the Zakutu range, just because, I mean, one of the highest mobilities in the game versus a very strange mobility character, right? It can slide well, but oh, the duel, and they both with the slams! Oh gosh, and there's not gonna be a 1v1 duel down there anymore. There's a little bit of assistance, but I love the fact they're spacing each other out perfectly.
So that's just like Barbados greeting when they see each other, you know, just slam. But Chaotic tries to jump on in, and Gasman is on top of him, takes him out with the help of Zeusy. Man advantage coming in for last second. They were able to get the point first initially on B, but it looks like as the fight breaks out, IQ sneak attack, even with the man disadvantage. It should get flipped over here, but you can see how scrappy the fight taking place on the point. Zeusy now with the Hedog Flash. Finish off Saris, and they will be able to flip it back in their favor. Still, though, at a slight disadvantage, though, 33% for IQ, 25, and ticking up for last second.
Oof, the wiki on the Dom has been working very well. And Chaotic here, waiting for a moment to jump over, try to get a pick. It's one of the only characters you ever see looking over walls that they can't see over, because they're like, oh, boy, jump over here. And here we go, a huge push, but Gasman's gonna slam 2 people in the back line. The punch as well, landing on B, their shield from Blue Jay. And that is a great way to shut down this push. Chaotic jumping out the back, Saris alone. It'll be a miracle to get out of there intact, and that's not gonna happen. So a great full hold here, as last second is gonna take a little bit more of a lead, but we're going back to B. It's going to be a little bit of a common spot for this final round of the day.
Oh, Chaotic
my
with the
gosh.
juice, but he's still getting chased down. We'll see if Red Protocol can find him. It looks like he ends up getting out. Oh, the screaming Nimbus now from Evictus. End up losing out on one. Fusion Black in the fall. That's a 2-for-1 exchange. Evictus will find one more, evening things out, but this is still just an absolute even brawl until Exponent falls. No, he survives with 13 HP. Susie is there to clean up Chaotic. In fact, to point B though, and now Zeusy ultimately will fall. IQ, do they have the numbers? Well, they've got the G maneuver going down. Fusion, Blackie, trying to play around these angles here. Seems like Connect though, but the threat of it is enough to try and force them back. Mono now charging forward with Hades, finds 2 for last second.
Oh, Mono Hades are infamously deadly, but be there, Shield turning things around, getting 2 picks themselves, finally going down, but gonna give them the numbers advantage on the point. There are still a few people from last second holding on to this point just to make sure that there's less of a percentage and more of a percentage for them, but finally IQ is gonna pick it up. A full team sitting down here. Now C is going to be very important. I would not be surprised to see last second preemptively set themselves up for C, but what a game this is. There's just fights happening all over the entire map. There are players escaping with like 10 HP over and over. The mobility is huge. I don't know what's going to happen here.
And this is the time to leave it all out on the field. Chaotic, he's the only one with the G maneuver on the battlefield. He doesn't need it. Wins out on the duel up against Catman this time around. 6v5, charging forward with that G maneuver. But he does end up falling for it. Exponent is traded away, and that's going to be IQ pushing back last second. They need to hold on to this point. They need to finish it off here as point C unlocks in a few more seconds. Invictus looking for Zeusy, I imagine, in the back line somewhere. It's Gasman actually that he finds, and he instantly turns the pivot onto him, gets the spam down, backs away just in time. Away from that, but as he was downstairs, the fight was taking place upstairs, losing out on 2 members. The point's about to unlock it. Here's the screaming Nimbus, and they do have it. It's ticking up in their favor. Invictus doing so much for his squad right now.
Oh, finally going down. Gasman just being the pest from below. Just so hard to actually lock down. And Chaotic, though, is going to actually get 2 kills off the bat. They're going to be holding this high ground and finally taking the lead just barely. Exponent just trying to see where everybody is. They're going to know now that there's a lot of members of IQ on the high ground. The Hades popped, but this is an interesting Hades pop. I mean, it might just last until the end of the game. We'll see how much mileage Red Protocol can actually get out of it, but the positioning here is so good for IQ. Chaotic getting the slam on Exponent as well, but Red Protocol going down in exchange.
Yeah, it's a 1-for-1 exchange until Wiki falls. There's Zeusy, though, still in the backline. He's got the Heat Hawk Flash. Doesn't need it quite yet. There we go. Pops it down onto that new gunner, but the shield is just too much. He hasn't been able to pop through quite yet. Great space for Amano with that Hades as he picks up 2 kills here on the low ground now. And last second will keep things alive. 16%. That's all they need. Red Protocol cleans up Amano. Gasman tries to get into the back line, but he will end up falling as Invictus falls back now. Wiki, though, here on the high ground now, as Chaotic will go ahead and pop that Barbados G maneuver, and it looks like he will not be able to pick up anything. Cleaned up by Wiki, and now last second on the verge of finishing things out. Extra time taking away the man advantage here for last second, but Invictus is trying his best to keep things alive. 2 kills for him, but Amano is trying his best. He is on the point. He is cleaning up. The numbers advantage is here for last second as they clean up Sarah. Some last minute stragglers. Chaotic, does he have the miracle play? No, Gasman is here to shut him down, and that's last second keeping their tournament alive. They'll be moving on to the top 4 tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, down to the final 1.5% in the final round of the final game, and what a fight to end it. That was unbelievable. That was going back and forth and back and forth, and it all came down to one final good fight, one final hold. We even saw both in a row, both of the G maneuvers from the Barbadoses were activated, and they died before the first slash went off. They actually hit nobody with it. That's just how fast they were focused down. That was just incredible. I mean, that was, again, as close as you can get. I don't know what it is about Martin R&D as a decider that always pulls it to that final percent, but it always does. And that was a great match to end off today for sure.
Yeah, we could not have asked for more there for our final match. Not only did it go to a round or map number 3, it went to a round number 3 as well. And like I said, you know, it's time to just leave it out all on the field. And that's what the teams did. This was just a scrap. Starting off in round number 1, going back and forth. Round number 2 seemed to be a little bit of an outlier. essentially in that map on Mountain R&D where it went 100-0. But as we got into round number 3, it went back to that scrappy style. It went back to everyone just trying to come up with huge plays.
I know. Honestly, being able to make that comeback from the 100-0, just being like, oh my gosh, they're really taking control of this match, and then coming back and winning the entire thing is so impressive. Clearly, there was just a great adaptation, and I do got to say, too, that does decide, of course, our entire top 4 that's going to be playing tomorrow, but last second, I felt like they were kind of not at their usual game early in today. They were not playing up to the standard that I feel like we usually see them as, essentially, the second strongest team that we have out here. I believe they're second place in the Pilot Academy standings. But as the day went on, I felt like it got stronger and stronger. And whatever was going on, they just got a handle on it. And I feel like tomorrow they're going to continue to play even stronger and stronger. I feel like if they get a rematch against, for example, like Char, they're going to do really well. They've got another match before they even have a chance to do that. But I'm glad to see that they're playing back up to their own skill level. But dang, that was such a good match between them and IQ.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like throughout the day, it was once again last second trying to figure out their identity. Because if you looked at the mobile suit usage across the board, there were so many swaps. We saw Zusi on a Pale Rider at one point, of course, swapping on over to that Zaku 2 range. We saw, 3, maybe 4 units being pulled out from Gasman. I think 4, it could have been 5, honestly, throughout the course of events today as well. So it's just a lot of trying to figure out what your identity is going to be, what is everyone's roles. But across the board, everyone played multiple units across multiple different roles, so they're still trying to figure that out. It's the growing pains of basically having like a new roster, which is par and parcel for competitive anything, right? Where you don't have the most consistent of rosters across the board. Only like a few of our top teams are able to have that kind of consistency. And so I'm glad that they were able to find their footing here, especially in the final day. If we get the opportunity, I would love to take a look at the stat lines when it came down to that final map.
Oh, I feel like it's got to be ridiculously high on both sides, just considering how much they just fought. They just fought and fought and fought, and there was no relenting at all. It was just 100% a brawl from like second 1 to second whatever it ended on, and that happened all 3 rounds straight. So I'm really excited to see those stats when they're ready to, and it looks like they might be right now. I feel like the number is going to be wild. Oh my gosh, look at that! We had somebody break 50,000. There's 40Ks all over the board. This is what I expected.
Yeah, and no question there, Victus was putting in so much work, really shutting down Zusi on that Dom, Zusi on that Zaku 2 range. That duel, it does really ultimately come down to a lot of times Dom's being able to chase down Zaku 2 range just because of the potency of that right click, that laser, being able to deal with such a slippery unit as long as your hit scan and your tracking is good, and having that splash damage up against such a squishy unit leaves you a lot of error in terms of your aim, and so that was important for them. Unfortunately, Victus, despite the amazing performance, and Red Protocol as well, almost breaking 50k, it just was not enough in that scrap. I mean, you kind of expect it when you see both sides picking up that Barbados. It's going to be an absolute brawl.
Yeah, always, especially on a domination map. But I also love seeing the stats there because you get to see kind of how differently Gasman and Chaotic play when each of them is, their damage difference and kill difference is gigantic, but they both have similar impacts on the actual game. It's really, really cool to be able to see that. For example, like you can see that Chaotic usually has more damage. We've noticed that in the past because Chaotic takes part in a lot more fights, does a lot of like auto swings to help in damage. Gasman plays a little bit more like assassin-y, usually really low damage, but that damage always counts, right? It's always damage that gets a kill, or it's just not damage to begin with. So it's just one of those really cool things that you do get a chance to see from these players, how they like to play, what they're trying to aim for, and it tends to work out both ways, however you want. want to play that suit.
Yeah, and honestly, there was a lot more surprises in store for us. One of them, of course, the fact that we didn't see a lot of flank for today, if at all.